Welcome back, everyone. Welcome back to another episode, a joint episode today. I have two experienced podcasters here sitting with myself and my co-host, James Bell, as well. We are here today we're going to take a little bit out of your format. Okay. But before we do that, I want you all to introduce yourselves to our listeners here. So we'll start with you, Judge.
I am Judge Tricia McMath from Marion Superior Court. I preside over Court 33, which is evictions that are filed in Superior Court, mortgage foreclosures, ordinance violations, and traffic cases. So I get a little bit of lots of different stuff.
Yes, I love it. And what about yourself, Ana?
Yeah, I'm Ana Hohn. I am an attorney at Paganelli Law Group. I do medical malpractice. I'm also an adjunct professor at the law school. I teach litigation drafting. But I'm the young attorney in our podcast duo. So I just ask.
Hear you say it that way.
No, I pull in
master,
the experienced ones. So I just get to learn from Judge McMath and everyone.
I love it. So your podcast, the Indie Bar podcast, called Asked and Answered.
Yes.
And we are stealing your format for the day, like lawyers do, right? We do a lot of plagiarizing from each other, right? And so your format is you get questions, right? And you try to answer them as best as you can. We got a very a diversely experienced panel here, okay? So we're going to start. I'm going to let you, Ana, start with the questions.
Yeah.
Ask us the questions. Maybe we can have James start and Walt just kind of chime in.
Yeah. So our listeners aren't familiar with either of you yet. So I always do some rapid fire questions, and these are just really fun ones. Are you a morning person or a night owl?
Is this for me?
Yeah.
Definitely morning.
Okay.
Night out.
Phone call or email?
It depends if I'm mad or not. If I'm mad, definitely better to do a phone call.
Yeah, I agree. Phone call.
Paper book or audiobook?
Audio, no time, no eyesight left.
Yes. Yeah, I like the paper books. I do.
Red pen or track changes?
You gotta go track changes these days. If you're swapping, you gotta. Unfortunately, I did like to see when, I had somebody looking at my work. I did like to just flip through and see how much red ink there was. But yeah, we gotta go track changes in 2026.
Really?
Yeah.
I'll be honest to everyone. I don't even know how the hell to do that. So I print that shit off and then I write all over it. That's what I do. Because, I learned that from my 87-year-old law partner. So yeah, just write all over it.
The first time I did track change, though, I had to actually redline a piece of paper with my red ink and then go through and make the changes at the time. It took me a while to get up to speed on that.
What is your go-to karaoke song?
I would like to believe I could do Born to Run, but probably can't.
Yeah, none. Nobody wants to hear me sing. It's terrible.
How many emails are unread in your inbox right now?
Personal or office?
Office.
0.
Okay, personal.
I think I saw 936 this morning. Banana Republic really likes me. I don't know how to get rid of them, but there might be one sale. I think I should go through and block people, but there might be an important email buried in there. I hope not.
Well, it used to be I had a lot of emails, but now that I've got Nathan here helping me, I really don't have any emails to in the inbox.
So if I get a response from you, is it really you?
It's always me.
Okay.
Yeah. It may just be done by him.
What is your unnecessary expertise? Something you know way too much about?
I know a lot about Elvis Presley.
Yeah. Oh gosh. Just like random old Star Wars facts. I do. Yes. I love Star Wars.
I love his age. What do you think of Mandalorian?
Oh, it's amazing.
You saw the movie?
I have not seen the movie. I'm going to go take the kids.
It's good.
Yeah. So I'm waiting to take them, waiting for a good moment. You have 4 of them. It's like herding cats, It's in a movie theater. Are you kidding me?
What was the most recent one?
Mandalorian and Grogu.
Yeah.
Oh, there was another one that caused a lot of drama because it wasn't in line with,
The canon, whatever that is.
Yeah.
Yes. I don't know which one that was, but the movie?
Yeah.
My son could tell you.
Okay.
So he tells me all about canon. I still don't even know what that is.
I watched it with my husband.
He was upset.
He was upset. He said it did not abide by.
It might have been the Obi-Wan series. That made me mad. He's
I pretty much that very first Star Wars movie back in the day. And then when they did the prequel,
Oh, yeah.
in
the
the 90s.
90s.
Don't watch it.
No.
And that's my level of Star Wars expertise.
1977. I saw it in the theater with my dad. I was 4, and it blew me away that day. And I remember when not the prequels, but the sequels were coming out. I wanted to show my daughter, who was like 6 years old, the originals. And we watched A New Hope, which used to be called Star Wars. And at the end of the movie, she turns to me and she goes, "Dad, they never said what happened to Luke Skywalker's father." And I was like, "Oh my God, you're going to love the next movie so much." And I just watched her face. I didn't even watch. And when, Darth says, "I'm your father," just shocking. So it's still one of the best. Apparently, Mark Hamill was told the end of that movie, and he was not to tell anybody. So there were 3 people that knew that. And Harrison Ford didn't know until they saw the premiere.
Oh, wow.
That's how big a secret that was.
And
I do remember being shocked that, Darth Vader was Luke's father. And I denied it. I was in denial until Return of the Jedi.
The Acolyte came to me.
Okay.
I
didn't see
We'll come back to the Acolyte. So on our podcast, we get questions in from listeners. Most of them are young attorneys, some law students. And we've gotten a lot recently about summer internships and how to get the most out of your internship. And I've had undergrad students who want to go to law school and law students. So I have some questions, but is there anything that jumps out? Like, how do you get the most of your internship?
I think if you're the intern, you got to ask. Hopefully if they're bringing you in, they have stuff going on for you. We have a summer intern right now who we just happen to have for the 10-week period that we have depositions, we have hearings. Somebody in the firm had Fever season tickets, and they allow the season ticket holders to go and meet a random member of the Fever. And he randomly got Caitlin Clark and his picture with Caitlin Clark. I was like, this is the lucky. This guy has got to be the best internship ever. But I think it's on the law office to make it happen. But sometimes there's not a lot going on, especially in the summer. I notice people sort of take a break after bench bar until beginning of August. So hopefully there's stuff going on. But I think you got to ask, got to look for it. Ask to tag along, because sometimes lawyers don't think about that.
Yeah.
If you're not in charge of the program, hey, I'm going to court. Everything's new to an intern, and they're sponges, and just going to court and watching people in the gallery. I remember my first summer after law school going to small claims court, and I can't remember anything with legal services. I can't remember anything that happened at the bench or when court was in session. I remember landlords and tenants fighting in the hallway. And I was just shocked because this was civil court, and I had been to criminal court and everybody got along. Civil court, people weren't civil. So I don't know if that's good advice or not, but those are my comments.
Yeah, I agree. Just ask. Some of the questions here are, if you're finished with an assignment, you don't have anything else to do, go ask. Go find something to do. Show that initiative, because if you show that initiative, partners are going to see it. The managers are going to see it, and it's just a good way to start your legal career. Okay. Sitting back and waiting to receive is just not going to really drive a great legal career and a great practice. So yeah, it's like your show, ask and answer. Just ask. Yeah.
Judge, what do you think?
I agree. You have to be asking for experiences. And if you find yourself with nothing to do, whoever brought you in, or your ego, knock on the door and say, I've finished everything I've been given. Is there something else I can do? Is somebody, somebody have a trial or a hearing that I can go tag along with. The more that you are, I think, seen by the lawyers in the firm, the more you're doing for them, the more you are just absorbing as the sponge that you are, is really the way to do it. I was lucky when I was in law school. My father was practicing, just shared office space with a couple of other plaintiffs' attorneys, and I would spend my summers working in their office, and because it was my dad and office mates who I knew well, I didn't have any fear about just walking in and saying, "What do you have for me today? And what can I go poke through?" And, "Oh, you want me to file some papers?" Sure, because I'm going to learn a lot about what a product liability case file looks like if I'm having to find where papers go in it. And it was great experience. I'm not sure that, ultimately that's not what I ended up doing. So I never had that intern experience that led to.
So your dad is a personal injury lawyer.
He was.
Yeah. And your
Yeah.
brother is.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Why did you not want to do that?
By the time I got out of law school, I was convinced I wanted to be a corporate lawyer.
Oh,
Yes.
it always, I was going to medical school. So
I ended up a public defender appellate lawyer, but hey,
it's a little different. It's a little different.
worked out all right.
All right.
Yeah.
Sorry to interrupt your
No,
flow.
my gosh, no.
Sure.
When you look back at like your internships, was there anything that helped you decide, like, I actually want to be this kind of attorney, whether that's practice area or whether that's like a character that you saw from someone?
Nobody wants to be an ethics lawyer. And I think everybody sees me as an ex lawyer. Like, I didn't know there was such a thing in law school. But the person I learned to do disciplinary work was Kevin McGough. He was a criminal defense lawyer, and Dick Kiefer was a criminal defense lawyer. And I was pretty sure I wanted to be a criminal defense lawyer. And it's like you had to tell your mom, though. You had to get over, that embarrassment or that shame. I had to come out as a criminal defense lawyer. And for many years I was, and I still try to be, and I still have criminal cases. I don't think people think of me that way as much anymore. But the first week I was at Kiefer McGough as their law clerk, Dick Kiefer had a jury trial, reckless homicide, in front of state court judge Tanya Walton Pratt. And I remember hearing the Star Spangled Banner, and during his closing argument, I heard America in his voice and democracy in action, and it was a not guilty. And I was like, this is it. And so it's been a ticket to hell ever since. Worst week of my life.
What was the question again?
If there was a moment during your internship that maybe solidified what kind of lawyer you wanted to be, or maybe what you didn't want to do.
I would say that it was Bill Hurst. It was my partner. He basically sent me to the PD agency, because I told him, I said, I want to learn how to try cases. I want to get into a courtroom. And he talked to Dave Cook, who he had known, and Grant Hawkins as well. Boy, I'm going way back. Huh?
Dave Cook's here.
You see Dave's here? I saw Cook. Yeah, I saw him. But and Bill was like, you need to get into a courtroom and just try as many cases as you can. And that was probably one of the best pieces of advice I've ever gotten. And I mean, I did it for 18 months. I was a PD, and I probably during that 18-month time span tried more cases than I have in my the rest of the career as a PI lawyer. So they really just kind of throw you in there, and I loved it. I loved every minute of it. Yeah.
I interned at the same firm all throughout law school. I did a little stint at the PD agency, but it was a criminal defense firm, and they also did family law. I did one family law case. I went to mediation, one family law case, and I was like, I never want to do this again.
Yeah.
So I appreciate that the internships give you a little taste of that, and I'm just like, I don't want to do that.
Jim Voiles said that he started off doing a little of everything, and that when his divorce client and her ex-husband were fighting over a cushion, he decided he was never doing family law again. So,
yeah, it's a tough area, especially when those fights break out, like over a $10 toaster or something. Come on, you're paying us
it is, that's a hard, area of practice.
Mhm.
I'm grateful for those who do it.
Yes.
Yeah.
I am grateful that I don't have to.
My family immigrated here from Cuba after Fidel Castro took over, and this government took everything from my family, and that attracted me to be a lawyer. Insurance companies can be like bullies, and they have a lot of resources behind them. Give us a call here at Limontes. We are protective of our clients because our clients matter and you matter. At Limontes, we're a firm that believes in people. We don't just talk about justice or fairness, we live it. The Indiana Fever are trailblazers. They inspire not only in how they play, but how they lead in our Indiana community. Being a father changes everything. Supporting the Fever is one way that I show my kids what it means to believe in fairness, to believe in respect and possibility. At Limontes, we believe in those same things. The Fever stand for resilience, grit, determination, and heart. They aren't just a basketball team. They're a symbol of what's possible when you refuse to give up. Their impact ripples far beyond the court, and you can see it in the energy, pride, and hope that they create in our city. Whether you're a young girl dreaming of playing in the WNBA or a kid in a small town dreaming of becoming a lawyer, you belong. This partnership is proof of that. At Limontes, we believe in standing up for those people that are overlooked. From court to court, Limontes is your winning team.
So, with interns, we encourage them to network and to not only within the firm, but, with others in the profession. How do you balance as an intern networking, but also trying to build your skills so you have something to network or to sell or to connect with
Just
someone?
remote.
Yeah.
I mean, I could be wrong on this, but it's been my experience that it's really hard to compete with 50-year-old and 60-year-old lawyers when you're in your 20s, and that you need to be honing your craft, and you need to be meeting people so people. But hopefully you have somebody that's giving you work and that you're able to go out and meet people, learn what you're doing, and then I think you're more confident selling. More people are confident sending things to you. The more people retire, the more business I get, I've noticed. So there is only so much work out there, and I feel like if I were running the world, people in their 20s would be meeting people, getting connections in the community, but really honing their craft and not necessarily trying to sell themselves, but trying to, because I think if you know people and they know what you do and you're good at what you do, the business will find you and the money will follow.
I think one of the few things that I encourage people now to do that never occurred to me, that it would have been an easier way to get involved in the community is when you're interning, find out, what are the organizations that the partners or the associates you're working for that you're meeting, what organizations are they involved in? How did they get involved in it? Because at some point it can be very important for your career path to be on boards out in the community or to at least have that community involvement where you're regularly working with an organization. And it can be really hard to get into an organization that I encourage people now. Find out who's doing what, the people that you're working with this summer, and see if they can take you to some organization event, introduce you to the volunteer person at that place. But it's never too early, I think, to start finding ways to be involved in the community. That's great.
Yeah. And when it comes to, especially as a young lawyer, honing your skills and networking, getting to know people, first of all, I agree with James. I'm a very much a relationship person, but I want to have a real relationship with someone. not surface level, and those are the people that I want to work with. That's why I've known James for a long time. That's why I bring him on to come co-host, because I know him and I like him and I know we'll do well out here, together. So, but the two, I think the two, networking and honing your skills, they can coexist. And so if younger lawyers looked at it as, even just working on a case day to day, I'm still networking myself with opposing counsel, with court staff, with the judges. Look at it that way and know that every word that comes out of your mouth, you are establishing a relationship, either positive or negative, with whoever it is that you're speaking with. So you can really do the two together. But events like this, you can really shine on a networking, on a networking side. So
when he was talking about you, I felt like you were about to.
yes,
He said, I like you. And I was like, man, that's ruining your credibility. But
James is good at keeping people out of trouble. Yes.
my biggest victory is you'll never hear about.
Yes, exactly. Yes. Yeah.
So at your firm, how long do you bring summer interns, or do you bring interns on, or is it just for the summer?
So we usually, we call them law clerks, interns. Yeah. So we usually bring them on and keep them on
Okay.
full time, full time during the summer. And then during the school year, we want them to work, 10, 20 hours a week if they can. It's usually about 10, but we have them in there, working. And then we have two of the attorneys that are here, Leda and Conrad. They were law clerks at our office. Dawson, he's here. He was a law clerk at I was a law clerk at the same firm that I now own, funny enough. So, we've had a history of bringing these law clerks on, training them, and then offering them, positions after that.
So you were a law clerk at Mitchell, Hurst, Jacobs, and Dick.
I was a law clerk at Mitchell, Hurst, Jacobs, and Dick.
It was on the back of the phone book forever. And they were on the corner of Washington and Delaware, which is right by the city county building. And there were cars that would routinely drive their car through the office. A personal injury firm had a law office where people would routinely crash their car into it. And I believe your brother had a car crash. And I've noticed some barriers outside. He's at Broad Ripple, and it's sort of at the end of a street where it tees. And so I've never heard of anybody else's office getting a car accident.
It was right off. I mean, the sidewalk's not. Well, yeah, and the sidewalk's not real wide there, and someone just drove right into the conference room one night.
At 1 a.m. for Broad Ripple.
So for a long time, he had a sign in his parking lot, no parking in the conference room.
Yeah. So I used to live right there. I used to live in a garage. I did. It was my wife's. She was my girlfriend at the time, but she rented a garage that was converted into a studio at 65th and Carrollton.
Oh,
right around the corner from that location. Yeah. I love Broad Ripple. It's totally changed now. But I'm talking about 20 years ago, but so yeah.
He's forgetting it's not his show.
Yeah.
no, it's okay. We're so happy to be guests.
This is your show. We don't have any.
Yeah, he's asked the question
About New York back there, by the way. Emmanuel point that.
I noticed that the first time. I just didn't feel like saying anything.
Screwed it up. Well, that's all right. You live and learn.
Yeah, we'll just put the Salesforce tower.
Like a Colt, like a horse.
Making a statement. Just as good. Just as good. Yes. At what point, when you work with interns or when you are interacting with interns, do you get to know their skill level and you're like, okay, I would like to keep this person on and work with them when they become an attorney? How long does that take?
Yeah, I'm not an expert in that, but I mean, you do get the written product back. That's one thing you always get. And, if you're able to write and able to get it back efficiently and able to get to the point, and, that's the first sign. And then, are they able to do what you asked? I mean, the great intern is the one that not only did what you asked, but looked into the next thing and the next thing. Because when you're doing a project in law, usually the stuff comes to you as you're going through. So here's the new thing. Here's the new thing. The by the way, hey, did you know that this case was out there? Or by the way, did you know this is in the record? By the way, do you think that's a good fact? Those are the by the ways are the ways to really shine, I think. But you also do what you're asked to do.
Yeah, I mean, it can really depend on the person, and it can take time for some people, but I feel like when you're in law school, at least my experience, when I first started law school, I was reading these cases on day one, and I had to read them 20 times because I had no idea what I was reading. I couldn't process the information. And there was a moment in law school where it's like a switch flips, and we, at our office, we do hire interns that are 1Ls, so they don't have a tremendous amount of experience. So we kind of see them in their infancy stage, and then we see the switch flip, and then for some people the switch flips and they're like, yeah, I don't want to do PI work. I'm out of here, but and for others, they really just get into it and they love, the people that we help and what we do. Yeah.
I had a couple of interns. One was a summer one because he was driving up from Bloomington. One was a semester one. Actually, I think they both came from Bloomington because that was my alma mater. So when they meet somebody, I'm on their list of, can you help us out? And the difference between I think one was a 1L, one was during their 2L year. And luckily, the first one I had, and this was after I was on the bench, the first one I had was the 1L. So I was very comfortable with, probably don't know very much, so we'll take it. I'll be pretty direct with you and kind of walk you through. He was a great intern. What I discovered quickly from him is he was very teachable. Right? He might not have known much yet, but I could teach him. He would hear what I had to say. He'd go back, he'd make the changes, and he would take it that next step. Second intern I had was a 2L, and I started very basic again because that had worked well with my first intern. She did not need she had her first year of law school. She had done a lot. But she was great because she was immediately doing by the ways. I would give her an assignment and she would come back. I did that, but by the way.
Hashtag that out.
Hashtag that by the ways. That's exactly what she was really, really good at. And in both of it didn't take long to kind of figure out that, they were both very good students. Turned out really well. And by the time, down a few years and they're needing recommendations for jobs. And I'm like, I am happy to write a recommendation. I was like, as the judge, I have a one-on-one with my interns when I have them. So there was no one else that I was sharing them with to do word for. So I got the full benefit of knowing what they were capable of, and was great fun writing recommendations for them. When I was a magistrate, though, one of the judges that I worked for had an intern for the summer. And on the court, my court that I have now, the court that there's not always a lot of work. There's not a lot of research and writing. The commercial court, they get the law clerks now. But we don't really need that. So we had to get really creative. And this is what I would love maybe law firms, if they're not already doing it with their interns, is you've got work for them to do, great, but there's also the community experience, right? Are you giving them opportunities to go watch oral arguments? Are you giving them opportunities to go into federal court and state court? So we got creative because we didn't have a lot of work to do and planned a lot of that kind of just outreach to let's go see what lawyers are doing in the city, since I can only have you write so many memos on tenant landlord law.
Talking about the references, a lot of interns are ultimately looking for a job. How did you turn maybe your internship opportunities into a job or an ownership into the same place that you interned at? And how do you recommend that interns maybe approach that conversation?
I had a similar experience to Alex, except I didn't end up owning, in a way. Anyway, I started at Kiefer McGough. I was a law student for 2 years, worked during the school year as well as the summer, stayed on, worked there 2.5 years. Kiefer McGough merged with Bingham McHale. Bingham McHale, which is now Denton's for those youngsters up there. Bingham McHale. Then I became a partner at Bingham McHale, and then it became Bingham Greenbaum Dahl. So in the middle there, I was advised to go to the public defender and get some more experience, and I wanted to do that. It was going to be hard to be first chair in any case for a few years. There's just not a volume, of cases like you have at the public defender. So that's how, I just prayed that they would hire me. So that's how I turned my internship into a job.
Yeah, I think working hard is probably the best way to say.
And you got to get along with people. I remember my first evaluation. My dad knew it was coming up, and he's from Belfast, and he said, "James, how did your evaluation go?" And I said, "Fine." They said, "I work hard and I get along with everybody." I go, "Oh yeah, I've always worked hard at getting along with people. I'm just not so good at." But anyway.
No, it's true. And if the firm is hiring and they're not hiring all, the same number of interns or law clerks that they have, it's going to be the ones that work hard and get along with everyone in the office. They're not going to hire the one that they may produce great work, but the partner's like, I don't want to work with them.
And I hate to be 1999 about this, but I know there's a big emphasis on work-life balance. Clients in courts don't care about that. If a client has an emergency, court has a deadline, I would suggest to all interns that if you're asked to do something, say yes. Unless it's impossible. A lot of people have, no, I got this, so I can't possibly do this. You want to be someone reliable that people can go to, and you want to be able to say yes without falling off a work-life balance cliff or having a heart attack or a stroke or whatever. But, saying yes is important, within boundaries, right?
To talk on your work-life balance, I read this book that changed work-life balance to work-life satisfaction. Does what I do at work allow me to achieve my personal goals, and vice versa? So, because I don't think work-life balance is a thing. I think it's
for lawyers. I think it's hard.
It's really.
Can you really go part-time as a lawyer? Your clients aren't part-time. Their problems aren't part-time. There might be part-time jobs in the legal industry, but if you have a ruling to do, you got to get it done, right? If you have to stay up all night and make sure all the orders were done correctly during the day, it is I'm sure 8:30 to 4:30. The courthouse is open 8:30 to 4:30. That doesn't mean the good judges are working late.
Well, and the judges in court, the judge isn't getting the work done.
Right. Well, I remember I was at CBS getting a prescription, and I saw Judge Welch waiting on her prescription with her laptop out and a couple of files. And, that was the glamorous life of a judge at 8:30 at night getting her prescription filled. So the good judges are working all the time.
Yeah.
This is a labor-intensive job.
Yes. Yeah.
I would say this too, for the internship, you can use it to figure out what you don't want to do. And that sometimes is a good path to take for, I know a lot of people that started in litigation, moved over to transactional work. So for me, I went to the PD agency. I had to represent a child molester because I was a public defender and I didn't get to pick my clients, and I resigned that day because I knew I couldn't do a good job for that person as a lawyer. And that was something that I had realized right away. I was like, I can't do this. So then pivoted and changed and started doing injury work. So figuring out what you don't want to do sometimes is a good way to get you to the right place.
Yeah. So how did you go from intern to associate was it at the same job that you?
Yeah. So I went from intern
Mitchell Hurst, Jacobs,
Mitchell Hurst,
Cannot.
Jacobson Dick.
Everybody's afraid to say that last.
Yeah. So Richard Dick. So
That was his name.
yeah, his name was Richard Dick.
Was it?
It's a great construction lawyer.
He was very good.
Yeah. So I was an intern there, but I immediately started at the PD agency. I was trying my first case 2 weeks after I became a lawyer. And then I had to represent people that I just couldn't represent. So I actually started my own practice when I was 28 years old. And I did that for a couple of years. I was a Chins attorney, did Chins work, TPR work. I was a contract attorney for the Julian Center, representing a lot of Hispanic and Latina women that were victims of domestic violence. And did just a lot of local work for some clinics. And then I was at a TPR, termination of parental rights, for a dad, a Hispanic gentleman who had essentially had a one-night stand, didn't even realize he was a father. And the baby was born with drugs in their system. And he didn't even know that. And nobody could really communicate with him because he was a Spanish speaker. So I'm the one telling him all of these horrible things, and I'm at that mediation and I get a phone call from Bill Hurst, just out of the blue. And it's hard. TPR mediations are hard. Like, you're terminating parental rights. So, and it was very emotional. And Bill just says it. Bill's very direct. He's like, "Hey, you want to come work for me?" It's just like, yes. Yes. So, and that was in 2011. And since then I've been, at Mitchell Hurst, Dakin McNeilis, and all the other iterations of it.
Okay.
Yeah.
What about you? How was your intern to attorney pipeline?
Yeah, it didn't get me there. As I said, I was working in my dad's office, mostly for the other lawyers that he was sharing office space with. But then my third year of law school is when I think I took a corporations seminar, or maybe my second year, because I was interviewing for those kind of jobs that fall of my third year. So looking at New York and Chicago, big city corporation lawyer, I was gonna, the whole, which hindsight tells me that there's a reason that didn't work out for me. And I was getting nowhere with those. And so I finally, a month before we graduated, I'm still looking for a job. I'm like, okay, maybe I better look back in Indianapolis and see if I can, maybe, dad's name recognition might at least get my foot in the door somewhere. And got a clerkship with Judge Staten on the Court of Appeals. Well, I grabbed at that, and that was a career changing. I mean, it had nothing to do with my internships, and nothing that I'd been doing in law school, but set the course of the rest of my career, because I absolutely loved it. He was wonderful to work for. I learned so much about, I was a decent writer, but hadn't made law review. I didn't have the academic writing skills that so many people do who did law review or get clerkships. But he was just wonderful to work for. The way I just naturally wrote fit in very well with the way that he had written his opinions. I loved it. I thought I could just continue doing this for the rest of my career. And then I had children, and it's like I discovered very quickly that I couldn't leave my baby with somebody else to take care of. So I had to figure out, I want to continue working, but I don't, can't do what I'm doing.
So that job taught you wanted to be an appellate lawyer.
Yes.
Okay. And your interns taught you don't want to be a personal injury
Did not
lawyer.
want to be a personal.
But when did you want to be a judge?
Oh, that's a story. So I'll try to make it short, but it's not a very short story. I was working as a public defender, appellate lawyer from home. So I had a contract with Marion County. This was before they had the appellate division.
Before working from home was cool.
Before working from, I love to think of myself as that working from home trailblazing mother lawyer. Lexis Westlaw had just gone online, so I could work from home. We had just been gifted a computer. My husband's work, they were turning them over, so we got the old one. So I was all set up to work from home. It did that for years and years and years. And then finally, I had 4 kids. The youngest one was getting into school, and by then the public defender agency had an appellate division. So they had an opening. I took it, went in there. Within a year, there was an opening on the Court of Appeals, and Joel Hohn wrote an article about possible people to think about, and he put my name on that list. We had taught legal writing together or law school, and he was always involved with the public defender, helping write briefs and whatnot. And I started laughing. I'm like, what the heck are you thinking? I have been a work from home public defender appellate lawyer for the last 10 years. Nobody's going to take me seriously as a court of appeals. It was the first, because after I left the clerkship and was working from home, I thought I've given up any hopes of being a judge because I'm not staying in the things I need to be doing to make those connections to make it happen. And got talked into, why don't you apply? Why wouldn't you? You've been an appellate lawyer for years. Why wouldn't you? It's mostly what they do is criminal work. Why wouldn't you? So I did, and ended up being one of the finalists, which was the very first time in a very long time. It was like, maybe I still could be. Maybe that dream has not been totally lost. So for the next several years, just kind of worked towards that path and didn't end up on the Court of Appeals. Was hired as a magistrate by someone who I had gotten to know well. We had clerked together years ago, fallen out of touch because I was working from home, not networking. But in my efforts to get on the Court of Appeals, had reconnected. And that's who hired me to be his magistrate.
I'm assuming you were an adjunct professor when you were doing that. I've done
Yes.
that. You
Yes.
cannot live on that salary.
No.
It's a joke, actually. But
Right.
it's interesting to me that the doors that open when you do something for free. And that
Yes.
might be a lesson for an intern somewhere along the line, that
Yes.
the doors open from some of the stuff that you can, that, maybe not everybody wants to do. And please, will you be an adjunct professor or do something for the Bar Association? It's for free.
But
But you meet somebody
know.
and you never know. So your
Never know.
$2,500 a year job
Helped get
got you to be a judge.
changed to the course and much later, years down the road, but that wouldn't have happened if I hadn't done that.
See, I said you say yes to things. Say yes. You were 3. Have you ever adjuncted?
No, I'm the only one that has.
Yeah.
I did have to quit, so it doesn't pay well.
No.
But
Yeah.
when I had my third child, it didn't cover the child care for the 3 kids. So
Yeah.
I'm like, I can't actually pay money to come teach as
I-
much as I enjoyed it.
I bring in guest lectures often to my class and my students. Judge McMath has already said on a recording that she's going to come.
And I
So,
will come.
Alex, what do you think about coming and guest lecturing?
Sure. What am I going to talk to them about?
We go through a case, litigation drafting.
Okay.
We go start to finish.
You don't know how to write.
You can pay it.
Nathan does that.
We'll bring both of you guys in.
Yes, I will have me.
Yeah. Start to finish, anything and everything, like client letter. We talk about emails. We talk about discovery.
It's like
Billing
business right
language.
class, right? For lawyers.
Yes, yeah. And then we do a complaint and a memorandum of summary judgment and a settlement statement. So anything and everything. Yeah. James, what about you?
What about me?
You want to come guest lecture?
Sure. I can't say no while I'm on camera.
Have-
And you just said
She's
say yes
smart.
to everything.
I know, but that was for interns, not tired. Man.
Do you ever get to the place where you don't have to say yes to everything?
I've been bad about saying no, but I'm always glad I say yes. Not maybe leading up to it, but I'm always glad I say yes.
I can say no to my kids a lot. Good at that part.
Well, I say no, they don't listen.
Yes, but that's the part. That's where I get snagged. They don't listen.
Yeah.
I can say no all day long.
But there's no
Doing its thing.
What advice do you have for students who are looking for a job? Maybe they don't have an internship lined up, or they see their colleagues have an internship already for next year, and they're not in that position. Is that discouraging? Like,
I think it's discouraging, but there'll be some out there.
yeah.
And
Yeah.
that's when they need to rely on the people they do know. I mean, my own daughter kind of missed the on-campus interviewing for internships because she was transitioning from night student part-time to full-time. And so wasn't quite far enough along for that first round, was past the round for, but Ana and I like to do shameless plugs for Indie Bar
All the time.
She was in a mentoring group with the Women in Law division, and one of her mentors' husband worked at a law firm, and she called and said, "Hey, do you have a place for this, lovely young woman who needs a summer intern?" And I did. and she's now working for them as an attorney, but never would have gotten her foot in that door. And she was, writing letters and calling. But it's that the people that you meet every step along the way, you just never know. And more often than not, that's where you're going to get that next, I think, step is somebody that is there at the right time to provide an opportunity to open a door.
Well, I don't know if we've talked about this, but after my first job, I've had 3 legal jobs, but the other 2, I've only applied for one, and the other 2 were I did the formal application for them, but the other 2 I was introduced to, and I had the opportunity because I knew someone there or knew someone who knew of an opportunity at a different firm, and so it's incredible how connected the indie community is and how much networking, not even just with the opportunity or with the goal in mind to get a job, but networking to have these connections.
Yeah.
What that can lead to down the road.
Yeah.
Somebody just calls you in the middle of a mediation and says, you want to work for me? And say, yes.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, IndieBar is a great resource. If you're an intern, you're in this position where you're like, I don't have a job.
Yeah.
I don't have a ton of connections. I mean, just start at the IndieBar. And there's, frankly, if you can get through to, talk to someone or even come into the HQ and talk directly with someone, there's so many people there that are more than willing to help, and they'll just steer you in the right direction. And frankly, if you're in a position where you don't have a job, you don't have an internship, then, it's time to do it or get off the pot, because you really have to put yourself out there at that point. I mean, you have to be in an uncomfortable position in a room full of people that you don't know, talking to them, because that's really going to be the only way you're going to be able to successfully, get to that next level so you can get the internship and move on. Right. Yeah.
After you had left, what eventually became Hearst Limontes? I don't remember the names.
Mitchell Hearst, Jacobs.
Okay. Yeah. How did you keep in touch with Bill Hearst?
With Bill?
Or did you?
What? Sorry.
You're right. Oh, Dewey. Emmanuel's laughing. Oh, Dewey keep. I don't even think so. Emmanuel's work. How long have you worked with me? 4 years? It's 4 years. Yeah, I don't even think Bill knows that Emmanuel works there for us. So it's yeah. So no, I mean, I text him, I call him. He's 87. So but he still has cases, still sharp as a tack, comes in every once in a while to work on cases. He really loves, I think he really loves and appreciates the younger lawyers that we have and kind of that energy that they bring. And he enjoys mentoring them in his old school Bill Hearst way. Yeah.
How did you stay in touch with him before he called you and was like, hey, come work with me?
It was his paralegal. So he was talking to Debbie, was his paralegal, and he was talking to his paralegal, and he was like, I'm swamped. I got a ton of cases and I need someone, but I need someone with trial experience. And Debbie was like, what about Alex? You remember him? He was a law clerk. You sent him over to go be a PD. And yeah, and I had seen her because I had an office with Chris Eskew. I was with Eskew, yeah. Rented a little room from him, and I had seen her because I was right downtown off Market, and it was 152 East Washington Street, that same address. Yeah, and I had seen her over there. We were actually at the Legal Beagle. I went to the Legal Beagle for lunch, which is a terrible place to go for lunch. If you've ever enjoyed.
What is the legal?
Their Legal Beagle was where everybody went to have a drink after a jury trial.
Yes.
And the prosecutors, public defenders were there too often.
Way too often.
But it was a kind of hole-in-the-wall institution across the street from the city county building, 2 doors down from Mitchell, Hearst, Jacobs, and Dick. Yeah. By the way, law firms don't have an ampersand anymore. No, it was Baker. It used to be, they were always having an
Yeah.
They had an and, I think.
Yes, they did. Yeah. I actually, that's funny you said that. I purposely got rid of it. When I changed the name, I didn't want it to be Hearst and Limontes.
I wonder if that's because of like people typing in, the URL. They don't want you to put A&D or something. That's a guess on my part, but most law firms do not have an and anymore, but they certainly did in the 90s.
Yes.
That's the legal beagle.
That's
The
yep.
legal beagle.
Healthy.
You spend a lot of time in the legal beagle. We used to go to the beagle actually while the jury was deliberating.
Yes, there's a lot of stories about
Yes.
judges and opposing counsel coming back not in good shape.
Yeah.
We never in there on it's been long gone since I got on the bench.
Oh,
Yeah, but it was a tradition. It was a tradition.
Yeah.
To while you're waiting on the jury to have a drink with the judge.
You know what they should do? They should put the legal beagle in that shopping center where the Kroger is there, right?
That's
Right behind the McDonald's.
Well, Kath was sort of an institution. I was glad to see that there, right?
to have Kath in the building.
Right. You should put the Beagle or Charlie and Barney's was another one all the lawyers used to go to.
I mean,
All that shit.
I'm trying to remember where our other institutions were.
that we
but-
talk about,
Yeah.
or the ones
The Cozy.
that was
Cozy.
yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it became an Italian place, I think, after that.
Yeah.
I mean, my dad used to talk about all of the settlement negotiations
Yeah. Well,
at the coast.
They would do that.
But-
So Bill would tell me, he said he would have lunch with an adjuster. He can't do this anymore. Have lunch with an adjuster. They'd come in with a stack of 10 files. And they would just be like, all right, this one, how much do you want to negotiate? They would negotiate. They just go through files.
Dave Cook is out there, and he has told me so many stories about the Cozy. We ought to bring him in. I'm serious.
Yeah.
Like 10 minutes. We don't want to hear anything about your death penalty in 1977. We want to hear
About the cozy stories.
Yes.
See, I feel like I've missed such a
Would you
crucial-
did you become a lawyer?
21.
See,
It was
COVID
gone.
killed. COVID, yeah, the Cozy was gone. Although it came back, Ferd Samper, it changed. But Beagle, all that is,
Yeah.
and COVID
That was-
killed a lot of camaraderie, unfortunately.
Mm.
So the practice was a little different even 6 years ago, in my opinion. Do you agree?
I absolutely.
Downtown was, you could walk around the circle on a nice day and see
Oh, half
50 of your, and they would call you a couple days later. Hey, I have this thing to refer you because you were out of sight, out of mind. Just walking down to the market,
Yep.
which is gone also, another killer of camaraderie. You would walk down, Bingham was on the west side,
Yeah.
and we'd just walk around the circle on a nice day, go down the market, grab a cup of coffee, come back. You'd see plenty of people.
Yep.
That judges, lawyers, it's just good that they remind you. So we need to get that back somehow. But yes, I think you missed out
I
on
think
a
so.
very good part of our
Yeah.
practice.
Yes.
Not so sure the Beagle is something you had to go to, but it is nice that
Or
we,
the cozy.
but when it was opposing parts, we'd go out and have a
But it was
beer.
the
And
walking around at lunchtime, just walking around downtown at lunchtime, going over to the city market, walking around to just walking around the circle because it was a beautiful day, right? Taking your sandwich to the steps. You would see, I mean, it was lawyers. You saw
Yeah.
lawyers, the people that you didn't maybe talk to regularly, as you said, James. I mean, that's where you'd reconnect because you'd see them out and say hello.
Can we end on a connection thought? It's lunchtime.
Well, this has been fun. Thank you all for answering these questions and sharing your advice.
Yeah.
Hopefully this has helped some summer interns or any law clerks. I appreciate this, and now I have so many questions about the cozy.
Yeah. Well, we could bring Dave in
Yeah.
and sit down, grab a mic.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you so much for joining us. I really appreciate it. If anyone has any questions for Asked and Answered, how do they get a hold of you guys? How do they submit those?
Yeah, so you can email them to aaandapod@gmail.com. And there are 3 A's. It was a typo when I was first setting up the email, but now it's like a running joke. And each episode I have an additional A. So for this one, it was going to be Asked, Answered, and Alex. So
AA NDA.
triple A NDA,
Okay.
because I was going to neither confirm nor deny that it was a typo, but I did.
AA.
AAA NDA. Yeah.
Fantastic. So make sure you tune in to the Indie Bar podcast, Asked and Answered, especially if you're a young lawyer and you're looking for a little guidance, there's always just wonderful questions there. And then also make sure that you're submitting questions to them because, you guys are answering tons of questions on your show, and how often do you put out episodes?
Every other week.
Every other week.
Yeah.
So they're on the same cadence as we are. So lovely. Well, thank you. Thank you, everyone. Thank you for tuning in for another episode of Circle City Conversations. Be sure to subscribe so you don't miss out on any future conversations.